Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing today? We are going to take a walk along 3rd Avenue, and we are here at Atlantic and 4th Avenue, and I am just waiting for the light. Give you guys a look around. We're in the downtown Brooklyn area of Brooklyn. There is no uptown Brooklyn, there's only a downtown Brooklyn, and this is it right here. So here we go. Hope everyone's doing okay today. It is a Friday, and I believe it's March 8th. This is what we call the city part of Brooklyn. This is like the city. You could even go as far to say that this is the capital of Brooklyn. Which just reminded me, if you think about it, at one time, at least a couple of hundred years ago, Brooklyn was the capital city of Long Island. Brooklyn was the capital city of Long Island, and eventually Brooklyn and Queens became part of New York City. They call it the mistake of 98. It happened in 1898. You can read about it, but Brooklyn and Queens are obviously in New York City these days. You can see a lot of tall skyscrapers and buildings have gone up over the years. You have the newer buildings and the older buildings over there next to each other there. So here we are on 3rd Avenue. The 3rd Avenue doesn't go that far down in this direction, maybe a couple of blocks, right? If you could pretty much see where Flatbush Avenue is cutting across 3rd. So we're gonna go this way. I've never done a walk on the channel as far as 3rd Avenue this far down. And many people haven't ever seen 3rd Avenue this far down. Mostly, 3rd Avenue is mostly known for the Bay Ridge part, where all the bars and the restaurants are. So we're not gonna be walking all the way through there with the camera. I have to go all the way back into Bay Ridge. But the camera part of the walk is gonna end around 60th Street. Right now, I said earlier we're in downtown Brooklyn, but there's a few neighborhoods that overlap in this area. You've got Cobble Hill, Carroll Gardens, which is where we're at now. And eventually we will be over in the Sunset Park / industrial industry city area. And we're going to be walking all the way down to 60th Street. It's a pretty good walk. At some point in the walk, I would say over by around 19th Street or 20th Street, we're going to be transitioning underneath the Gowanus Expressway. You might have seen on some of my walks in the past where we always cross that. Well, we're going to be walking under it for a good part of it. But for now, we're in what I like to say open space. So we have some time till we get to 20th Street, because we have to get through all the name streets. We're just passing Bergen Street right now. If I didn't mention it already, it is a Friday. If I'm getting my dates correct, it is March 8th. It is about, I want to say 9:30, 10 in the morning. Yeah, St. Mark's Place. This is St. Mark's Place in Brooklyn, not in Manhattan right here. This is, so Brooklyn does have a St. Mark's Place. Brooklyn has also a St. Mark's Avenue. St. Mark's Avenue and St. Mark's Place are really the same street. They kind of, it's kind of weird. I'm not even going to get into the whole history of that, but I'm not a historian. I always make sure people know that. So I hope everyone's having a great day. By the time you're watching this, I'm probably making this go up on a Sunday. But it is a Friday as I'm doing this walk. So you can see there'll be a lot of noise on this walk. Especially when we get underneath the Gowanus. There's a lot of development going on down here these days. It might be a little hard to see through those trees past the park over there, but those are a couple of more towers. There's a couple of more towers being constructed over there. When we get over to Grove Street, we'll point to, because that's where they're located. They're just off of Grove Street here. You can see those two towers out there being built. You got a lot of this right here, just right where I'm walking, a lot of sites where buildings are gonna go up. We walked by that other construction site. You have one right in front of us here on Sackett. So you got a building going up on Sackett Street here. Got a car driving up on the sidewalk. That's the second video in a row, second walk in a row, we witnessed a car just driving on a sidewalk. Hey, I've said a couple times already. You know, New York, man. It's getting very sketchy. Now, there's going to be a point where everything kind of shrinks. And what I mean by that is, you know, the buildings will start getting smaller. We'll start seeing a little bit more storefronts. Want to get across Union Street here, and then I'm gonna get onto the other side there where the sun is. Not a lot of people ever get to see this side of 3rd Avenue. They figure there's nothing really down here. But there is stuff down here, and it is developing. This was an area of Brooklyn. I'll hold that thought for a second. This was an area of Brooklyn at one time that maybe 30, 40 years ago, I'm not going to say it was extremely dangerous, but it was not a neighborhood you would want to walk through. I would say pretty much almost every neighborhood in Brooklyn in the 70s and 80s was like that, but I lived in Sunset Park. Sunset Park, when I was living in Sunset Park, that one of the 3 neighborhoods that you stayed out of back in the 70s and 80s was Red Hook, Bed-Stuy, and Sunset Park. Those were the 3 neighborhoods you didn't go to. Those were the neighborhoods that people would say, don't go to those neighborhoods. Now this is why I wanted to walk on this side. I knew about, I know about this sidewalk. Look how tight this sidewalk is with the stairs come right up to the curb almost. Not a lot of walking space. And we are now coming up on 1st Street. So let the countdown begin. We're going to be going down to around 60th Street. And like I said earlier, there'll be a lot of traffic noise on this area. This is a major route. Now we're going to be passing under the 9th Street train trestle, one of the tallest train rail bridges in Brooklyn. Actually, it is the tallest. Not at that point though, but the train trestle that goes through 9th Street and Smith 9th is the tallest elevated railway we have in Brooklyn. So we'll be passing that soon. And then we'll be getting to where the Gowanus, you can see just nothing but warehouses and spaces. It's really nothing much but that down here. When we get down to the Gowanus, when we're underneath that overpass, I'll talk about what's in some of those big old warehouse buildings. Because I worked for over 20 years in the tech industry, and sometimes I had to come down here to do some work, and I'll tell you why and what's in some of those buildings. Not all of them, but in some of them. There's a very old building right here. We got City Harvest over here. This is a place that loads up food for donations. And then over here we have a park. And we're not going to walk through the whole park here because we'd go off course, but I want to show you this is some of the windmills they have over here. You have the Gowanus Canal. And you got like those artistic looking windmills up there. We are going to cross over the canal right now. Here we are. I know I probably put the weather, always pops up in the beginning of my videos, so I'll talk about it now. It's really nice out. It is 50 degrees out right now. You could definitely tell that the season is starting to come around to spring, as we are getting warmer temperatures and a lot of rain. As I record this tomorrow, we're going to get another rainstorm. I think halyard's been around a long time. But yeah, we're going to have another rainstorm coming in here. And that's just the way it is in March. In the Northeast, March and April, you tend to get a lot of these spring storms that bring a lot of rain. And sometimes you'll get like a freak cold front that'll come through and you'll get snow in April. So it has happened. I remember when I was a kid, we had the 82 blizzard in April. I think it was April 2nd. Yeah, that was the, I believe that was the blizzard. That was the first day of Vegas Diner opening up. And then there was a Yankee game I sat in when Andy Pettitte pitched in the snow. That was opening day at Yankee Stadium. I can't remember what year it was. I want to say it was like in the 90s. We were sitting, it was wet snow though. It wasn't like it was accumulating, but it was a really nasty day. And I think he won 1-0, but don't, I guess you guys go look it up. But it's been a long time. That's either the F or the G train up there. So yeah, that trestle up there is serviced. It services the F and the G line. So if you want to go into like Williamsburg and Greenpoint, you would get on the G train over here, or wherever the G train stops further south in Brooklyn. This is 9th Street. We did a 9th Street walk recently. You can look for it. We did a walk on 9th Street a few months back. And here is the train trestle. It is a pretty tall train trestle. When we get over to 10th Street, I'll kind of show you where it gets to the highest point. Well, it's hard to see over here, but as it gets down and it turns, that is where it gets very high. If you go back and watch my 9th Street walk, you'll see we walk right by it. You can see the traffic here is pretty much backed up. You see another construction zone where another big building is going to go up. And that's what it's going to look like. We are getting close to the Gowanus. Now, I know some people might say it's kind of everything is closed up down here, but this is how it is all day down here. There's not a lot of businesses that are in business. A lot of these storefronts are, you can see the for sale signs. A lot of them are closed down. This is an area of Brooklyn that I don't want to say it's suffering from any kind of economic issues. I think everywhere in the country is having economic issues, but this is just an area that is pretty much on the ends of Brooklyn. There's not a lot of residential down here. So having a business down here is, I would imagine it's a challenge, because if you notice, there's one thing that they don't have, and that is foot traffic. There's not a lot of foot traffic down here. It is just regular traffic, like car traffic. And you can see the way the Gowanus goes over out there. It's eventually going to come over us, and we're going to be walking under it for a good part of the walk, for the rest of the walk pretty much. And I'm trying to like pan over to the other side of the street to kind of give you guys an idea of what's on the other side, but it's really not much. What we'll do is we'll cross over here. And we are on 14th Street. Okay, so we'll talk about what we're about to see in a second. There's a split here, right? So when you're driving on the Gowanus, there's a split. And what you're looking at, and I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, obviously I'll look at this after I watched it, after I did the walk, but I don't look at a map, I just go by my experience in Brooklyn. But right there in front of us, crossing over 3rd Avenue, is the Prospect Expressway. If I'm not mistaken, and that's what goes into Ocean Parkway. That's what eventually becomes Ocean Parkway. So if you're on Ocean Parkway, right? So think about it. If you're on Ocean Parkway and you're coming up from the direction of Brighton Beach and you keep driving, you're going to end up going over this and into the expressway. So that's what this is right here. And if you ever listen to a local radio in the morning before you're going to work and you always hear about those traffic delays on the Gowanus by Hamilton Avenue, this is it right here. This is an area right here where there's always traffic issues. As you can see, look, see where all these traffic is backed up trying to get up there? And then you get onto here and you become, it's kind of confusing. You have the Prospect Expressway, the Gowanus, you have the BQE, which is the Brooklyn Queens Expressway. And I gotta cross this, so I gotta be careful over here. Because there is no, oh, there it is, okay. If you look over here, the crossing light is all the way down there. And we got the light. So let me tell you guys what I'm smelling right now. Let's hope I don't get loopy. The smell of spray paint / car paint, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it is strong right now. Man, you could taste it. It's that strong. It could be from all this construction, and it could be coming from the many, there's a lot of car detail places down here, but man, wherever it's coming from, it is really strong. Woo. Don't do drugs, kids. Even if it's involuntarily, try not to do it. All right, we are getting, now this area right here, this part of the expressway, they like to call the Gowanus part of it. Like I said though, it's very confusing. You can interchangeably say you're on the BQE, you could say you're on the Belt Parkway. Soon you'll be on the Belt Parkway. This will eventually split again. This will split and that's where we're going to actually end the walk. You'll see where we end the walk is going to be the next split, and that's where the highway will take you into the Belt Parkway or take you to down 65th. So we got some pigeons being fed. Let's say hello to the pigeons. Let's see if they're friendly. They're not friendly. Well, these guys are. Now, right now we are in, I guess you would call it the Industry City section. I just jumped right in front, man. The car that was to my right had to stop, so the car to my left had to stay in its spot, so I took that opportunity to cross in the green light. There's really no need for any commentary on a walk like this. There's a lot of ambience. We got another green light. It hasn't changed yet. Oh, there it goes. We will wait for this line of cars to go through. Eventually we will be crossing back onto the other side. And what we'll do is we'll walk right by the jail. The jail is coming up soon. Brooklyn Corrections Facility is down here. You heard me correctly. The Brooklyn Corrections Facility is located on the other side in just a few blocks. You can actually see it if you look in my camera view. If you look up to the, just over the highway there to just above the traffic light, there's an American flag blowing in the wind. Out there, that is the jail. I'm gonna be walking right by it. So you got a lot of construction equipment over here, like vests and stuff, like uniforms. And I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna get over to that side, because that side is actually pretty interesting. At this point, it starts to get a little interesting on this side. And again, you can see this traffic, how this traffic is just all backed up over here. So the next time you're coming out to 3rd Avenue to have a drink or to have some social time in Bay Ridge, remember there is a part of 3rd Avenue that looks like this. Stride Warrior will take you where you don't want to walk. That's the great thing about YouTube. Although I heavily encourage people to obviously get out and walk and find their own adventure, find a place that they've never been to before. There's places like that all over the country. It doesn't have to be a big city like this. You could be somewhere in a rural state, and there might be a part of that state you've never been to. So when I was in the military and I traveled around the country, you know, I met people in states, especially in Texas, that had really never had been to any other parts of Texas other than where they were living at the time. And here's another little crazy thing, and that's what the noise is coming from. Got a construction worker up there. There are people here in New York City, and you might be one of them, who've lived in New York City their whole life and never been to Coney Island. I know people like that. So it's, you know, it doesn't matter where you are, you know, you could find somewhere, you know, to explore. And here is the jail, by the way. This is the Brooklyn Correctional Facility. It's a big facility. A lot of people in here. And now we are going to hit the warehouses that line 3rd Avenue from here down to where the close to where the Brooklyn Navy Yard is. Well, the Brooklyn Army Terminal. I was saying earlier in the walk, when we started the walk, that I would talk about what is in some of these buildings, because I used to work in the tech industry, and some of these buildings have a lot of space, and some of that space is taken up by what are called data centers. And a data center is nothing more than a location that holds a bunch of servers, routers, switches. Speaking of technology, I think Micro Center, yeah, Micro Center is over here. This is where Micro Center is if you've ever bought computer goods. This is where Micro Center is located. So I've been in a few of these buildings having to come down here and either have to set up a server or set up a switch, even just take pictures for documentation. Now, if you have if you're working, right? So, say you work in a company, you sit at your desk, you have a computer. And that computer is connected to the network. And on your location, at your office, somewhere in your office building, there are servers. And those servers, those are like your local servers. They may store stuff like files, help with forwarding, internet traffic, firewall stuff. Firewall is what helps block, bad traffic from coming into your company and allowing traffic from your company to go out to a bad place. But what you got to remember is that is not the centralized place where everything ends. Those inside your company, there are routers that route you out to the internet and out to other data centers. So this is where for example, a data center would be located in one of these buildings. And in the data center, what it looks like, I'll tell you what it looks like. It kind of looks like something out of like a 007 movie, when you have to get in A lot of these places, you got to put your handprint on and everything like that just to get in. There's a bunch of cameras. But once you get past that part, then it doesn't really look that futuristic or technical. It's just a big empty floor with a bunch of cages. And inside those cages are servers and routers. And each one of those cages is rented out or owned by a company somewhere in the city or in America. And what that does is it helps, without getting too technical, it just helps with storing more data off-site. And it helps with speed. So your traffic goes to the data center, and the data center that forwards it to another data center, and it just keeps going. So a lot of times I would come into some of these buildings, not this one specifically, but a couple of them down here, and I'd have to come in and I'd have to do some maintenance work on some of the servers. One day I had to come down here and I had to spend a whole day just photographing everything because we had to do what's called a migration. And what that is we had new equipment that we had to install, and we had to take the old equipment offline, and I had to spend a whole day photographing every connection, every module, every server, every router, so that when we started the upgrade, if something went wrong, we can look back and say, okay, well, that was connected to that, that was going there. Well, it looks like the buildings are getting a little smaller again down here. And by the way, we are on 37th Street. We are going to be walking down to 60th Street, or about there. We got, if you're wondering why there's so much traffic coming in and out of here, that I'm about to jump in front of this car, I will pan my camera and show you it's Costco. Famous movie quote. I'm not going to say the name of the movie, because the only way to know if you really saw the movie is to say this quote. Welcome to Costco, I love you. Welcome to Costco, I love you. We'll see if anybody knows that quote. Got some train rails over here. These are, oh, by the way, this is the rails that go into 39th Street over by where the D train turns into 36th Street Station. And then these rails will lead you up over to the terminal. And some of these rails are in use, just as the sign says. You will get a lot of diesel trains down here. This is 39th Street, Industry City. And we are also in the Sunset Park section of Brooklyn now. Sunset Park is to my left. Well, can't see it with the bus in the way, but Sunset Park is that way. Sunset Park is a section of Brooklyn. It's not just the park. So when people say they live in Sunset Park, it doesn't mean they live in the park. We got about 20 blocks to go. Not that far along here to go. Now, the reason why I'm stopping the walk at 3rd Avenue and around 60th Street, you'll see when we get there. It doesn't go straight through. It's where the next interchange happens. Where the this big overhead roadway is going to split, and one direction is going to take you on the Belt Parkway. The other direction will take you 65th Street and I-278 to get over the Verrazano Bridge. I'll show you the signs when we get there. There's a motorcycle gang. It's gotten a little warmer since I started the walk. There's a house over there. It's hard to tell, but there's a mural on there that says, welcome to Bay Ridge. But we're not in Bay Ridge yet. We're nowhere near Bay Ridge yet. You see the sign up there that tells you could either take the Belt Parkway East, the Verrazano Bridge. You can also exit along 65th Street. It doesn't say that on the sign yet. It'll say it on the further signs down. This was a loud walk. I had to raise my voice to get over a lot of this traffic. It looks like our walk has now made it over 1 hour. Now, I do have my battery pack. I don't want to have to pull it out. So we'll see how far I can get here. I mean, I still got some power left. I should have about 20% left. The problem with this camera is when you look at it, it doesn't tell you the percentage. It shows you, it shows you the graphic of the battery with the line. And every, I think it's every 5% it goes down, it'll flash the percentage. But you have to be looking at the screen at the right time when it happens, because it happens quick. In case you're wondering, yeah, I'm not missing anything on the other side. On the other side of the avenue, at this part of 3rd Avenue, there is nothing on that side. It is just homes and buildings that are off of the corner. So the whole sides of those houses are the only things that are really exposed on that side. So everything is happening on this side. That's why we were staying on this side. I just got a smell of some good food. There are some eateries up here. You got a lot of businesses, there's a lot of businesses down here, so that's why you see a lot of these people. Some of these people are either taking a lunch break, although it's not lunch yet, but you will see a lot of people during lunchtime down here. But every once in a while, you'll see a little deli or eatery down here. We're just up the block from the Army terminal. Sooner or later. And we are now at 50th Street. So we got about 9 streets, 9 blocks to go. I say 9 because If I'm not mistaken, I don't think I could even get to 60th Street. I think it would end right at 60th Street. So since we're getting close, I'll tell you how it works out. So there's going to be this big interchange area, and a lot of those cars have to come down off of this ramp, and it pretty much, that's where it cuts through 3rd Avenue. Pretty much between what would be 60th and 65th Street is just this big area where all this traffic is going to come off or go on. And in order to get back on 3rd Avenue, you got to walk up or down one of those side streets. I would either have to come up here on 50, like I would have to come up to 2nd Avenue on this side, or I could go down to 4th Avenue. Well, that's the only way you can continue the rest of the way along. And that is where Bay Ridge begins. All right, it looks like I'm not gonna have to connect the battery. We are, I can't see in the sun, but it looks like we're getting close to 1 hour and 10 minutes on the walk. Been doing a lot of long walks lately. Getting back into the long walks. And this camera's gonna go off and I'm gonna keep walking. We've done 3rd Avenue a few times, past 65th Street, so you can go into my library and search. We'll do it again. I'm not saying we're not going to do it again, but we're not going to do it today. We did a few walks last year. We did a walk. Actually, it'll be a year. We did a walk in April. We did some thunderstorm walks in Bay Ridge. We did a few thunderstorm walks in Bay Ridge, including the big 90,000 viewed thunderstorm that I have up. We did the, if you remember, we did the street festivals. So we have a lot of 3rd Avenue that you can look at. But we are going to stop it in a few blocks. So I want to thank everybody for tagging along. I didn't mention this, but we quietly passed by. We quietly went by 2,000 subscribers. So I want to thank everybody that has joined and has come aboard recently. We are just over 2,000 subscribers. I guess I'll use the rest of the walk to talk about the channel. So we're coming up on a 1-year anniversary of the channel, April 2nd. It was just a plain old YouTube account where I would upload my GoPro walks every once in a while. And then last year I decided, you know what, let's create a channel and let's just do this regularly. We started the channel, we had around 800 subscribers that had eventually picked up over the years when I was doing the YouTube account. But since last April, we have picked up a little over 1,200 subscribers. So I want to thank everybody that has joined and everybody else that has been around since long before the channel. I have some subscribers and people that comment on my channel that have been around even when it was just a once in a while YouTube video channel. And we are coming up to the ends of the walk. We'll be walking up to 60th Street, so it looks like I can get to 60th Street. And you can see up here, you can see where the split is, right? So you have above me, right above my left shoulder, is one of the lanes that's going to take you into the belt, and you got the other lanes that are going to continue. Actually, I think it's that center lane there, that center span, is going to take you into the Belt Parkway. And this above me is going to have you turn down into like I-278 and down by 65th Street. All right, here we are. This is where we end it. This is where the camera part ends. My legs got to keep going. So I want to thank everybody for coming along. Sorry if I'm yelling, but it's just very loud down here. And I hope everyone had a great weekend. By the time you're watching this, it's probably Sunday, but hope everyone has a great day, great week, and I will catch you all on the next walk. Take care and bye-bye.